Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and welcome as well to the Mastering George Inness series, Day 3. I thought it was Day 4, but I was mistaken. The painting we did a study after of George's today, well, was actually yesterday, it was called 9 o'clock. My guess is he painted around 1890 or so. Couldn't really make out the date too well. It's later period though, for sure. It's 1880 to 1890 in there for sure. No question about that. And I will be one of the world's foremost experts on George Inness paintings by the end of this series. You can be sure. I've already starting to see definitely filling in all the blanks. I have several books. I wish I had them all. By the way, if any of you is very independently wealthy and would like to support this project, you could purchase the Inness retrospective, Risen, the whatever it's called, the complete works. It's on Amazon. It's like $1,000. I can't afford it, but if I had it, I'd use it for sure. Anyway, that's if you're independently wealthy and you feel like supporting this cause. Yeah, speaking of, this video will be for sale in my store, as all of the Inness studies will be. And membership is always an option on this channel, the live video for this. You can see a link below, and it looks like YouTube throws you links too, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that right now. I am going to read from A History of American Tonalism, 1880 to 1920. When he gave it, in the second edition, he gave it the subtitle Crucible of American Modernism by David A. Cleveland. That's an amazing book. If you don't have it, go get it. And the good news is, in the process of doing my researches, it appears there's a third edition with a completely different cover. So go pick it up. Do not hesitate. Do not delay. If you're interested in this style of painting, you must have this book. And honestly, I've been wanting to do a video where I go through it, and I've ordered the third edition, even though, you know, really don't have much funds for that sort of thing right now, but I had to have it. And I plan on doing like a little video, just going through it. You know, it's a really big book, but we'll just kind of randomly leaf through it and help support. Well, I don't know if David A. Cleveland needs our support. He's on his third edition. It's really one of the best art books ever. Anyway, we'll be reading the section where he's talking about George Inness on page 40. Before we get into that, though, let's talk about this painting. Yeah, so I had a lot of struggles with this, but you know, as I'm always saying, the struggle is real. For one, yeah, I can do houses and things. I don't love it though, and I do like his approach to architecture. It's like very just sort of loose and indicative, no real details, and I have to say it was okay with that. Also, as I've stated in the past, a lot of times I've left the figures out of my master studies, especially if they're real tiny, but I'm including them here. So I also like Inness's approach to the figure in the landscape too. It's always unobtrusive and really, he doesn't get so deep in the narrative, even though a figure in the landscape almost automatically creates narrative. You could say, oh, what is that woman doing? Where's she going? Why has she got a chicken with her? I think it's a chicken. Anyway, getting into my challenges. Pardon me. I had to sneeze before I started recording. It's very dauby, you know. We call it a dab in the US. I think they call it a daub in the UK, and a doob. I don't know what the French call it. But lots of small, like, sort of strokes, right? I didn't really know how I was going to handle it, but you see I'm doing it now in the sky. I basically took a fairly small brush and just started daubing. Daub, and I got a good effect. I got an effect that was fairly true to what he had done. Now, I never go stroke for stroke with Inness. I'm really doing my best to get a feeling, and I did a really good job here. I will say that There's a little more stiffness in mine than his because, let's face it, he didn't have to make a study after his. He just threw it down and it was what it was. So, but I always endeavor to avoid that stiff quality, and I think I do a pretty respectable job in that regard. And I did a quite respectable job of doing a study after this painting and got a good effect. I was basically playing a lot with transparency, especially in the shadow areas, not so much in the sky. In the sky, I did a lot of opaque sort of daubing. The thing is, there's quite a lot of board color coming through in the sky, which I think works fine. There's board color coming through everywhere. When I got to the darkest areas, I decided to not go into a full black, so I made sort of a kind of a custom black. Oh, also I want to say the drawing color I made was a combination, because I think I've got on something pretty good. I like using raw umber. Raw umber is super transparent, so what I've been doing is sort of merging it with raw umber, brown ochre, and a little bit of black, and that gave me this color on the board. And the reason I went with that instead of the burnt umber was I wasn't feeling that reddish tone in the burnt umber at all for this painting. And there's been a couple like that lately, but maybe my new, we'll see. The great news was I did the drawing one day, and then came back the next day. The drawing was dry as, which is just awesome. I was a little bit concerned because I had some black in there, but it was no problem. It was dry as. You can have problems if you have black in your underpainting and it's not dry. When you go in to do the second stage of the painting, you could actually start removing paint just with the amount of oil that's in the paint. It can be really sticky, but it was no problem here, so I'm real happy about that. So once I figured out what I was going to do with the sky, I knew I was going to be daubing my way through the rest of this. So you just saw me laying a bunch of darks, and that was basically a combination that was very similar, except leaning more heavily on the black, and then ameliorating the black with some raw umber and the brown ochre. Because a full out black, I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't right. It didn't have the right feel. I knew it wouldn't. And so I spent quite a lot of time kind of daubing that in and then getting into colors. Now I will say it took me a while to do this painting. The full length session in the members area is 4 hours, but I think if you're after doing an S, you would get a lot from following along with that. And I should point out there's a blog, you'll see the link below. That's got the reference image that I used to do this painting, so if you're keen to do your own study, and that's as far as nocturnes go, it's pretty neat. It's actually really neat to see how he approached it. And you get an understanding of an artist by doing a study of their work that you really wouldn't just by looking at it. I tried for years. I never did any studies until I'd been painting for a good 5 years. I never did a study after any master, but after I started doing studies after masters, my work went twice as good, 3 times as good. Who knows how good I'll be at the end of this series, and who knows how good you'll be if you maybe do a study or two after an S. It's up to you. Anyway, let's get into this book by old David A. Cleveland. Yeah, George Inness. One of the reasons I wanted to read this is leafing through it just to see if this image was in any of my books. It's not, or this painting. But if that is the case, I'll be reading whatever there is about the painting in those books, hopefully. But this quote caught my eye. Let's see what you think. George Inness, this is his quote from 1882. He said this: "The paramount difficulty with the artist is to bring his intellect to submit to the fact that there is such a thing as the indefinable, that which hides itself that we may feel after it. But God is always hidden, and beauty depends on the unseen, the visible upon the invisible." And boy, I can relate with that, and hopefully you can too. And one of the reasons why I make so many efforts, making a huge effort to really master Inness, is that he did that. And it's one thing to just, well, I'm making a painting, there's a tree, there's a tree. And everyone looks at your painting, oh, I did a tree. A mystery tree. I would like my tree to be more mysterious somehow, and I'm getting it. I'm getting it. And, watching me do my progress here, I think I'm very happy. I hit his tones for sure. And I had the feel with the strokes as well. And I'm even really happy with that building. I ended up having to clip that roof a bit. Yeah. So let's read a little bit more. David A. Cleveland says, George Inness is a towering, one-of-a-kind, romantic figure in American art. Among the first-generation tonalists, only John Lafarge and Whistler shared a similar innovative talent. Maybe. He likes Lafarge. I like Lafarge, okay, but, let's face it, Lafarge. Whistler is in a category all his own, though. I will say that. And, interestingly, David A. Cleveland includes Whistler as a tonalist, and Whistler certainly did do tonal work, no question about it. But Whistler, to me, you have to just put in his own camp. There's absolutely no one like Whistler, and there never ever will be. He was, you talk about innovative, he really was. But he was more than a tonalist, he was Whistler. And you don't see me doing massive studies after Whistler. I way prefer George Inness, but yeah, to give Whistler his due. Anyway, back to the book. Though their work lacked the fiery spiritual nature and visionary impulse at the heart of Inness. Alexander Wyatt and Homer Dodge Martin, who emerged out of the Hudson River School, showed poignant flashes of Inness's darker moods. And the second-generation tonalists, only the shamanistic poetry of those guys, of Albert Pinkham Ryder and the shimmering moonlights of Ralph Albert Blakelock, approximated the spirit-haunted dreamscapes of Inness. See, David A. Cleveland knows how to write. This book is so well written. He writes like a poet. He really does. Although he was born in Newburgh in upstate New York and resided in New Jersey and New York City most of his life, Inness was imbued with a New England transcendentalist temperament that conceived all life's means as existential ends. Twice he moved to Medfield near Boston, where some of his early breakthroughs occurred. Inness was, in fact, a born radical, always going against the grain in pursuit of his goal of rendering visible a spiritual state of being in landscape. Like Hunt, Lafarge, and Whistler, he spent much of his career confronting the art establishment. In Inness's case, the Hudson River School painters in New York, while forging his distinctive style of spiritualizing color and emotive tone on canvas. Although never a Hudson River School artist per se, Inness could on occasion appease the New York critics with his own approximations of the style, and retain something of the older school's penchant for panoramic vistas and narrative detail. When he bowed to prevailing taste, it was almost always out of financial necessity. Well, we're going to leave it there. I'm going to mark this, so we pick this thread up maybe on our next study. By the way, you notice the speed slowed way down. I thought that's nice. It's nice to see things not moving so blisteringly fast, especially at the end. Anyway, I'm super happy, and I'm actually, after my day of, I didn't think I was going to finish this yesterday, and I was like, oh, I don't want to load this on the canvas again. I don't want to put this on the easel again, because I got other things to do, other studies to make, and I really feel really good about, that's a lot of reallys, I know, but I feel excellent about the study and what I accomplished and what I learned, and I really hope that you picked up some good little bits too. So like I said, this painting's for sale. Support me if you can. If you've got the do re mi, support me, and if you don't, I just appreciate you watching the video. That's a lot of support there. I know you could watch a lot of different things, and hopefully you're getting some real value out of this content. Hey, leave me a comment if you are a commenting type of individual. I appreciate that. I think that's always awesome. It makes me feel good to know that people are enjoying what I do and the time taken to do it. Until I do come back with another video. Oh, maybe we're closing out a little quick. Oh, we're going, this next one is just regular speed. Yeah. A lot of times I will, that's the, anyway, until I come back with another, well, next video will be one of my own, so come on in and enjoy that. I've got a very good one for you. Actually, it won't be, you think it'll be a steady afternoon for you, but we'll see. Anyway, until my next video, do me a favor, do me a solid. Please take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. You know, happy Easter, and take good care. Stay out of trouble. God bless you and your family.